Bear with me while I figure that out. I'm Rachel.
I'm Stephanie.
We're Diverge Community Services, and we are so excited today to be talking to you about a neurodiversity-affirming approach to sensory processing and emotion regulation. So, what can you expect today? We hope to stay on time. We brought a little visual timer just to help out, and then we also got our little reminders on our watch, letting us know. But we're going to do the best we can because we love to work on it. So we welcome questions. Typically we like to do them throughout, but because we're on such a tight schedule today, we do ask you, if you can, to reserve the questions because we will have a discussion section at the end if we make it. This is a sensory and STEM positive environment, as you can see by what we've provided you in the back, and the fact that we will be stimming throughout because we're nervous and we want to be present and regulated for you guys.
Yeah, so if you see us doing different body positions, don't mind us, and feel the same to do whatever you need to do for your nervous system. So if you got to get up and move around, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Please. The number of times I've already gone to the bathroom. Yeah. The bathroom's our friend, right? Just go there and regulate by yourself. It's good.
The easiest one is right around the corner right here. Quickest one if you need it.
Okay, so what are our objectives today? So we're going to give you a brief overview of your 8 sensory systems. We're all familiar with the 5, but we're going to toss on a couple more there that really play a big role in autistic individuals' lives. We're going to explore nervous system and emotion regulation, and then we're going to kind of examine what the role of neurodiversity in occupational therapy can be for autistic people of all ages, but we specify with adults. So I'm Rachel. I'm an occupational therapist and co-founder of Diverge Community Services. I identify as an OD who also has OCD, so I bring my clinical perspective and my unique lived experience to my treatment.
And I'm Stephanie. I'm also an occupational therapist and co-founder of Diverge Community Services. I also have a neurodivergent brain, being ADHD and dyslexic and anxiety. So we kind of, being neurodivergent therapists, have a different lens than some other therapists.
So you're probably going to notice we've already used it once, but throughout this presentation, we are going to use identity language. So that would be an autistic person versus a person with autism. And this is something that autistic stakeholders, autistic self-advocates, the vast majority prefer this language use. A most recent study in 2023 showed up to 87% of autistic self-advocates prefer to use autistic because it's not something that you can take with you or choose not to take with you, right? So person with autism kind of imply that for some folks.
Yeah, you don't leave your autism at the door.
Yeah, it's a core part of your identity. So what is neurodiversity? So let's take a step back and what is neurodivergent? So neurodivergent is this umbrella term that encompasses any myriad of brain or neurological differences. In this context, we specifically talk about autism, but it doesn't end there, right? ADHD, traumatic brain injury, mental health conditions, all can fit in this umbrella as well. So when we're talking about neurodiversity affirming, we are really talking about prioritizing lived experiences and the strengths that each neurotype or distinct brain can bring. We prioritize that no two brains are the same, so everything is individualized. We always assume and presume competence in everyone that we work with. And we also believe that differences are not inherently seen as disabilities, but, and this is an important caveat, but many individuals do experience differences related, or disability related to those differences. But sometimes it's a mismatch between the person and the environment, and it's not always something that is within that person to fix on their own.
So in general, when we're dealing with autism, we kind of know that sensory is a huge component, which is why I'm sure a lot of you are here today. They kind of enroll in sensory clusters. Up to 69 to 95% of autistic individuals experience some type of sensory difference on their daily lives, with even more research suggesting in general more. And in general, if you talk to any individual, neurotypical or neurodivergent, you're going to experience your environments differently than others. So based off of our lecture, we're going to kind of talk about your individual sensory needs for any person.
So the main sensory systems that we were all taught in grade school are our ability to hear, our ability to see, our ability to smell, our ability to taste, and to touch. And these very much are all impacted in every individual. We are all sensory beings. None of us exist in a vacuum. So we all are interacting with and responding to sensory input. That being said, we also have these more internal sensory systems of your vestibular input, which is your sense of equilibrium or your position of your head in space, right? So it's that you get on a roller coaster and you get off and you feel really out of whack, right? Or you get car sick riding in the car. You have your proprioceptive, which is your body awareness. So what I'm doing right now, I'm getting a lot of proprioceptive input because I'm getting pressure through my joints every time I'm squeezing this. So proprioceptive is your body awareness and your awareness of force and pressure on your body. It can be really common for a lot of people. And then finally, and in some cases I would say most importantly and most underappreciated, is your interoceptive. And this is your awareness of what's going on inside of your body. We could have a whole presentation just talking about this, and we will talk more about it. But this is something that, in the vast majority of autistic folks, is different in some capacity. They may be over-aware of what's going on inside their body, but misinterpreting what it means. Or they may lack awareness or attention to it, which can result in things like dehydration, not knowing that they're sick until it's really serious, or not realizing they have a broken bone.
And as kind of mentioned before, all these sensory things, there's no great fix for any one person, and everyone's sensory needs are going to be different for each individual. Some people are going to need certain things, and some people are going to need to avoid certain things. And it all depends on that specific individual person. So you can only accommodate the individual person. You're not going to be able to accommodate everyone in the room.
So our sensory responses vary. We often like to talk about ourselves as like, oh, I'm a sensory seeker, or oh, I'm hypersensitive to this thing. And that may be true most of the time. But the thing is, our sensory responses are reacting to a whole host of conditions within ourselves and within our environments, right? If we didn't sleep too well the night before, you better believe our threshold for tolerating annoying noise next door is going to be less, right? If you're having a really good day, you woke up, you got all the spoons in the world, and you're just feeling good, the thing that normally would set you into meltdown, you're like, your friend is like, hey, you okay? Yeah, I'm actually feeling okay right now, what's going on? Right, so our sensory responses can vary from one day to another, 1 hour to another. The environment we're in, is it a novel environment? Is it one we're familiar with? By stressors. And as we so lovingly always talk about in our community, is by the number of spoons we have, or our energy to deal with those stressors.
And based off of the task of the individual that they're going to be doing, whether or not it's going to take a lot of energy for you to do it, or not a lot of energy for you to do it.
So we're going to go through some common sensory differences for each of the 8 systems, and then we're going to reserve some time at the end for anyone if they want to explore or share some differences that they experience. So for hearing, you may be agitated by chewing sounds. You may enjoy listening to the same song or part of a sound on repeat. You may also find it difficult to filter out background noise, like the sound next door. I don't have a problem with that. For sight, you may miss objects in competing backgrounds. It might be really hard for you to be able to find the one thing in a sea of many people that you're looking out at. You might enjoy bright, quick, changing visual input. You might be really sensitive to bright lights. It's super common for autistic folks to simply hate fluorescent lights, which is so thankfully that all the rooms are set up with this nice dim lighting. Because not only is the actual visual input overstimulating, but the sound too. And for a lot of autistic folks, we hear electricity, we hear fluorescence, that we just have a hard time filtering a lot of that extraneous information out. So it's a loud environment for us too when there's fluorescent lights.